Welcome to the Fragrance Files.
Welcome to the Fragrance Files.
Hi, everyone. There's no cold open for this episode because it's the second time we have filmed it. The first time was maybe a little too aggressive,
We
maybe
got
open to
yeah.
some litigation.
Yeah, we got a little carried away.
So the topic today is brands behaving badly. That is a very open-ended topic, and we wanted to preface this by saying we're aware there are large industry level issues in the perfume world. The political function of perfume, greenwashing, Orientalism, how industry magnates shape what is acceptable and not. Those are all big, meaty topics. And this is the first in a series of episodes getting into the perfume industry. And we have some people that are amazing to talk about all of those topics. But we're going to hone in on brands behaving badly on social media, in perfume culture, and interacting with content creators. So that's our preface. The opening question was supposed to be, when was the moment that you realized a brand crossed the line for you to the kind of messy and unethical?
Yeah. So this is something that's happened to me a couple of times, and it was pointed out to me by someone that it's actually illegal and copyright infringement. So there was a brand who had gifted me product, and I agreed to do a review for gifted product. What they had failed to put into the pitch, the agreement, was that they wanted to turn this video into an ad. That is something that I typically charge for, and we can get into how that is supposed to work. But when they requested my Spark codes, and I said, "Hey, so this is actually a service that I charge for. If you would like to boost the video, you would like Spark ads, we can talk about budget." And then that brand turned around and downloaded my video, cut it up into pieces, and then posted it on their own without, I think I got a tag, but, or I honestly, I don't even remember if I got a tag, probably not. And and then posted it on their social media. So using my likeness, using my um intellectual property at that point, and that was for me a no-go. I had several other fragrances in the brand that I needed to do a review for, and I said, "I'm out. I'm done." So they wound up taking the video down, but I was not going to work with them again.
Right. And did it change how you wear their perfumes or how you talk?
I decluttered them. I don't even own them anymore. They were decent fragrances, in my opinion, wildly overpriced, bordering on dupes in most of them. Were they good? Sure. They were definitely not bad fragrances. They smelled nice, but it just sort of tarnished it for me. And I'm like, I don't really want this. Let somebody else have it. And I gave them away.
Right. And we decided we wanted to bring this up as a whole episode because it's not about canceling these brands. We're going to try to avoid naming too many names in this episode this time. Uh, but it is about accountability. And it's
Yeah.
about if you are a listener that is a perfume brand, here are some things that maybe you shouldn't do if you were unaware already. And if you're a content creator, here are some red flags and some tips and some information that maybe isn't being shared with you.
Yeah. I had done a video recently sort of breaking this down because I think it's become very common on the fragrance side of TikTok, and maybe this is true for other things, but when a paid partnership label comes up on your video, people sometimes automatically scroll, right? And unnecessarily give shit to the creator who posted it. And it's like, I want people to understand how those labels get put on your videos. So anytime you are advertising for a brand, you are technically supposed to label it as promoting for a brand in TikTok. Now, TikTok doesn't say paid partnership, gifted product, gifted for review, anything like that. It's all under the same umbrella as paid partnership. So technically, even when you're gifted something, if you are promoting for them, you are supposed to label it as promoting for a brand. So there may not have been any payment involved, any monetary value involved in that sense. Um, there is a whole other bigger conversation about how to claim that on your taxes, because technically those are it's a business transaction, even if you're not making money. But that's a whole separate discussion. Um,
That's something for a CPA to discuss.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a big thing. But for me, as a smaller content creator, I learned the hard way, and thanks to some of the other larger content creators that helped me learn and how to navigate that, is that if you're making a video, that is your intellectual property, right? And what can happen sometimes is you can purchase a product and you can make a review organically. And a brand can reach out to you and say, "Hey, we love this video. We'd like to whitelist it or turn it into a Spark ad." So what that means is they're paying for or they're requesting your code to promote it and boost it and link it to their website in order to generate sales. I don't care how big of a creator you are. If a brand is asking you for that, that is something that you should be charging for, because they are going to profit off of your work, right? Um, However long the work took you. I don't care if the video took you 10, 15 seconds. It is definitely up to you whether you believe, hey, I'm willing to do this for getting on the PR list. I'm willing to do this if you want to gift me a bottle. Whatever your payment of choice is, whatever you value your work is, that's completely on you. But something should be exchanged for that, because they are going to be making money off of what you are creating. And there are brands, and I understand indie brands totally different. I have given my codes to the indie brands that I know and I love without charging a thing, because I know their budget's not there and I care about them and I want them to do well. And then there are some big brands that have requested from myself, from my friends, for their Spark codes, and then turned around and said, "Sorry, we don't have a budget to pay for this kind of marketing." That's fine. I don't have a budget to make videos for you for free. And that, to me, that's a line in the sand. I will not give you my work for free. If you want to send me a product, you want me to review it, absolutely. I'm 100% willing to do that for any brands that I know and I care about, right? I only accept PR from brands that I know that I like. It's a very privileged situation to be in. I know when you're first starting out, like, it's somebody sends you something or offers to send you something, and you're so excited to get your first gifted, your first PR, and you want to say yes to everything, but you do have to be discerning, because not everything is worth your energy.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good topic because brands we have seen brands that are predatory towards smaller content creators because they expect you to stay quiet and stay grateful. And that's not fair to you, and that's really shitty of those brands.
Absolutely.
If you are worthy of getting a bottle of perfume and get excited and you feel like, hey, this is worth it to me, great. But as Mishi said, make sure you see what they're asking for. If it's, hey, we want to send this to you because we think you'd like it and make a video, cool. Maybe that bottle is enough. But if they want to use you as an ad, if they want to take ownership of your likeness, that's a whole different ballgame. And that is way more expensive than a single bottle of perfume is worth.
Absolutely. And some of these brands, you have to be careful, because if you read their contracts, they own your likeness in perpetuity. So once you give over those Spark codes, they then own that video, even if they're only, paying for the 30-day usage. They then own your likeness. And with AI, who's to say that they can't, months and years from now, turn around and turn your image into an AI ad for them as well. So don't sell your likeness.
Yeah, definitely.
There there are definitely some red flags to look out for. So we mentioned that brands tend to prey on the smaller creators. Now, when I am advising a brand on who to send out product to, I advise them to diversify the level of creator that they send to. Like, yes, there are a handful of really large mega creators that I trust to send product to, but I tell brands to seed it out to some smaller creators too, because I feel like there's a lot of trust in that community. So
Hmm.
it is not a red flag if a brand offers to send you something and you are a smaller creator. That's not a red flag. But if it's a brand that you've maybe never talked about before, never interacted with before, and they just cold offer to send you something, maybe your antenna should go up. Not necessarily a red flag yet, but maybe your antenna should go up. If it is a brand that you are constantly seeing on your feed, constantly seeing in ads to the point where it's junking up your feed, that is a massive red flag for me. That means, and especially if it's a lot of creators that you've never seen before, they are probably seeding out a lot of gifted, and they are purposely looking for small creators that maybe don't know how this is supposed to work, and hoping that they will just be grateful for that free bottle. And that should not be the case ever.
And we can circle back into some of the red flags, but I was hoping to hear a little bit more from you as well around, you mentioned like when you have consulted with brands, you've encouraged them to go after certain demographics of creators. I
Mhm.
think it's also important when you're seeing sponsored videos or when you're seeing gifted bottles and things like that, who is it that you always see a brand giving to also tells you a lot about their ethics.
Absolutely.
There is such a huge gap between, particularly the black women that built Perfume Talk and the
Mhm.
black women that get PR.
Yep, big time. It's, you know, this is definitely an issue we've always seen in the beauty space, but it feels a little bit harder to navigate in the fragrance space, right? Because we want to think like fragrance is for everyone. You can be, at any sort of budget, look any kind of way, from any race, any ethnicity, and still enjoy fragrance, right? With a beauty brand, you can look at their shade range and be like, "Oh yeah, this brand is not made for me." You can't do that with fragrance, but you can look at who is paid to promote their product and who is being gifted their product to see who they want to represent who they are. When the reality is that in the fragrance space, Black women make up the majority of sales in the space, that both being who are talking about and promoting brands without being paid for it, and those who are purchasing the brands. Yeah, if those aren't adding up to you, if you're not seeing a wide range of people who are talking about and promoting, that should absolutely be a red flag for you.
And, there are shades and levels, and this bleeds into a lot of the larger industry level conversations that I know we're going to have over the next several weeks. But, again, and there's nothing wrong with the creators saying yes to this. I do want to preface that. There's a lot of nuance in this conversation.
Yeah.
But if I am only seeing young, thin, white girls promoting your product, I am going to assume that you don't want me to buy it because I
Yeah.
am, I am clearly not that demographic. Like, we don't see enough black women getting PR. We don't see enough
Hmm.
men getting PR unless they are one of the like major flashy
Hmm.
creators.
Yeah.
We don't see fat people getting PR.
Hmm.
Like, as much as if you were casting a modeling agency to represent your perfume, you should be casting that wide of a net in the creators you want to talk about your perfume.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the beauty space does not seem to have caught up as fast as the fashion space really has, or was catching up. I should say. I feel like they've backpedaled a lot too recently, especially when it comes to body positivity. Um,
I also, and this is, I think, a critique of the industry and not a specific brand, but how often do you see disabled people reviewing perfume? And like people of different levels of ability and disability, scent often is still something that you can have, and I think we should be leaning even more into that.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
these people can't walk a runway, but they can absolutely promote your perfume.
absolutely. I want to call out and give the flowers to Rare Beauty for a moment too, whether you like the fragrance or not. Um, it's their recent packaging for their newest fragrance was made with dexterity disabilities in mind. So it's a fragrance that can be put on a table and pumped with the palm of your hand or your arm. It's got a really large surface area on top, so if you don't have the dexterity in your fingers or have issues with fine motor skills, you're still able to apply their fragrance. And that should be applauded because that should be something that every brand is taking into account, but very, very few are. Um,
For
yeah.
sure. Like it really hadn't entered my thought sphere um,
Mhm.
until I saw Filigree and Shadow. James redeveloped his packaging to make it easier to open if you are or don't have the dexterity to do that. And I was like, yeah, why aren't we seeing and talking about that more? Because I know
Yeah.
so many people with varying levels of disability. Some people are just, you have arthritis. It's not like you're missing a hand or whatever else, but like those are things that we should be considering
Mhm.
if we're saying perfume is for everyone.
There's definitely a power imbalance when it comes to brands versus creators, and there is there is something to be said for that because the creators do hold more power than I think the brands want to admit
Oh, for sure.
because yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The fragrance industry before the explosion of fragrance TikTok and perfume TikTok was doing well, but not nearly as great as it's doing now. I mean, sales have doubled, tripled, quadrupled over the past few years, and it's because of people talking about and reviewing their fragrances. But there are still cases, and this is especially happens with smaller creators that maybe brands feel people don't see as much. But there are absolutely cases, it's happened to me, where I've photographed a bottle and had a brand turn around and stage a photo nearly identical to how I staged a photo.
I recall when that happened, and the thing that really bothered me was like it was so clear that you, I mean, you're a great photographer, and it
Thank you.
showed that you like had gone to a park, you had found the right lighting and the setting, and it was really beautiful. And they used like plastic leaves, and it was like Timu version, like we have photography at home, so it
Like
like wasn't even as good.
no, it was terrible. And it was
But
literally
you're
like within a couple of days too. Like I would have just sold you the photo. You could have just
right.
had it.
Um, but you're not the only person I've seen that happen to.
Hmm.
Ode de Gay does great
Yeah.
photo stuff. I've seen people heavily inspired, perhaps.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
It's happened to our friend
Skyla,
Skyla. Yeah.
yeah, that's happened to Skyla as well.
Hmm.
Especially when, if my understanding, she was working with a brand and then they decided to go a different direction, and that different direction was someone else doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It's almost verging on the same amount of ire that I get for AI in the creative
Hmm.
space.
Yeah.
I think you can be inspired by a creator's content and say, hey, even tagging the creator and being like, I really loved her photo of this perfume bottle. I tried
Hmm.
my hand at it. Like, we tried our version. That's more inspiration and like showing that you saw it and you cared. Or, like Mishi said, just reach out and say you want to use their photo for product and ask how much they want.
Yeah. It's not difficult. And there was definitely a larger AI discussion to be had, but then even using somebody's image as an AI prompt when you could just I am not a expensive photographer. I took this photo for my own feed. I probably won't charge you more than like $50 for it. But yeah, It's icky. It's icky to say the least. And there's such a huge wealth of people in this space that are incredibly talented and incredibly artistic that it is you're doing your brand a disservice if you don't tap into that resource. There's
Absolutely.
tons of photographers, there's tons of videographers, there's tons of people who write copy. You don't need to have AI write your copy. There's literally like 5 creators I can name off the top of my head that write copy for a living.
If you are, I mean, if you're a large enough brand that you should have a budget for it, you're probably also not a brand that's listening to us.
Probably.
Um, if you are a large enough brand to be represented in, say, Ulta or Sephora, hire people. End of
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
If you are a niche or indie company that doesn't have a lot of people, often it's like a one person operation, as a community, we understand purse strings are much tighter. Get creative. Be willing to say, hey, like, I would love for you to photograph these bottles. I love your style. I don't really have a marketing budget. Would you like to have the bottles in exchange for?
Yeah. I've done that for multiple brands.
Yeah.
Happily. Yeah.
Or like, hey, I really love your writing style. I would like you to write some copy. What is your rate? And if I can't meet it, would you like product in exchange? Because a lot of time people in the community just want to be recognized that way.
Yeah.
Also, shout out because you were mentioning all of the great, like, different creative avenues. Lois does hats, and she did the
Yes.
Marginalia inspired
Oh,
hat by Closet.
she did such a good job.
Amazing. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. Now I have like this dream of like, if I ever launched a perfume, do I need a hat inspired by the like,
Yes.
it's so cool. And like, there's
Yeah.
so many people that have such unique creative visions. You can find someone that meets the aesthetic you're dreaming of or meets the voice that you want to bring to your brand.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hell, we did it recently. Neither one of us are graphic designers. We've used the tools at our disposal to make it work for our own branding and logo. So there are ways. You just got to think outside the box a little bit. So overall, why is this conversation so necessary to have? Why do you think it is that perfume gets a pass over other creative industries?
I think because it was kind of the last vestige of the beauty industry. Like you said, beauty is very visual. Fashion is very visual. And it was easy as, the world got woke and said that people should be treated like people no matter what shape or color that person is. Um, beauty, like you said, the shade range. It was easy to see if a brand was adapting.
Mhm.
When it came to fashion, you could see who was including who in runways, who was sizing for what on a website. Perfume has always been this kind of like tack on. You get the big fashion houses and then they add a perfume in their name to kind of like get into the branding. So I think it's always been this kind of afterthought, and now it's quite large, quite upfront, quite apparent.
Mhm.
We're having our moment. It's like the golden age for perfumery, and no one ever held them accountable. I
Mhm.
mean, the industry is still using the word Oriental in the year 2026, and there are French perfume magnate people that would tell you that's not a problem.
Yep.
Like, where the rest of the beauty industry is very much living in 2026, the perfume industry still seems to be decades behind in terms of
Yeah.
like acknowledging its own problems.
Yeah. And I think what bothers me most is that rather than framing critique and discussions to better these brands and just being overall helpful in how to improve their image, it really just comes off on TikTok, or is perceived on TikTok and Instagram and the other platforms, as being drama or canceling. And that's not necessarily the case. Like, we can do better and we can hold brands accountable without canceling them, without saying you should never purchase from this brand ever again. There are people behind these brands they make mistakes, and it's, are they willing to correct it? Are they willing to learn from it? Are they willing to grow from it? And if not, you can choose to never support that brand ever again. There are certainly um more, more macro issues that I am willing to never support a brand over ever again. And there are some things where I'm like, hey, this is not cool. Let's talk about how we can do this better.
Yeah, I mean, when we think of, and this is a good example, so I'll name names. Um, Boho Boko released Oriental Saffron, and immediately everyone was like, "I think not."
Yeah.
And in like 2 or 3 days, they came back and they marked it out. They were like, "We didn't fix the like." So we're renaming it and we're embracing, that this is a change. And I think it was a little bit of a cop out, but like it at least
Yeah.
showed the brand said, "Hey, our bad. Let us change this," in response to what the perfume community had said,
Hmm.
because they certainly weren't going to be told that by any other large perfume.
Yeah, yeah. And I do think that they came off as genuinely like not knowing it, especially culturally where they are from. Do I think that the way they fixed it was the best? No, I think they could have done better. Having smelled the fragrance, I could have come up with like 15 other names that would have been better. um,
Right, but they
but
did at least listen and adapt.
they did. They did. And this is why I strongly urge brands, like, no matter your size, even if you are a one person show, to run your ideas past somebody that is just maybe not a direct friend, maybe not a direct relative, somebody who can look at these things critically and give you honest feedback. It's very painfully obvious to me when a brand creates something, um, and they are just in an echo chamber and nobody is telling them no, and is telling them that this is a bad idea, or if there are, they don't listen.
So I'm going to try not to name too many names, but when you talk about like in an echo chamber and just completely devoid of current cultural events,
Hmm.
how in the late year 2025/2026 of our Lord are you going to launch a perfume called Iced?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Maybe don't launch a fragrance named for a fascist militia. I don't know. And I don't care. Like, I understand that, these things take time, and that fragrance is probably in the works for months, if not years, before it was released. You are a big company. You have the budget to change the fucking labels on your bottles before it rolls out. Do it.
And we've talked to other brands that have admitted that they have collections that may have been politically charged, and
Hmm.
they've held on to those releases until circumstances change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and also, I, even though I keep saying I'm not going to name names, if Boy Smells doesn't have a hater, I'm dead. Um, I think the worst thing you can do is when someone in the community calls you out on something and says, "Hey, I think this is a problem. I think you've done this, this, and this wrong," like in their rebranding and their erasure of their queer identity.
Yeah.
Bickering with a content creator in your comments is a losing battle.
Hmm.
Private messaging me that essentially, well, we have gay employees, so it's fine, is also a losing battle.
That's them giving over to their evil overlord Sephora.
Listen
Give
to the
give
community, but like if you're not going to change and if you're not going to take it seriously, don't acknowledge that you have been listening.
Yeah.
That's the little piece of advice there.
Oh God. There are some brands that really take these things into account, and like I've done it for multiple brands where I've done like blind smelling of their new fragrances, and or they've sent me copy and they said, "Hey, can you take a look at this?" And then they're like, "Yeah, absolutely. Let's look through it. This might be, I would reword this. I would look at this differently." Just get outside perspective. It's really, and please make sure that you have a team. If you are a large company that you can afford to hire a team, please make sure that your team also has some diversity on it, so somebody can actually call you out on something and say, "Hey, this isn't cool." You know, it's very clear to me when a fragrance comes out or something comes out in the beauty industry and there's not a single person of color working for that organization, because, or if there are, they don't feel safe enough to actually tell you that what you're doing is not correct.
We got heated. We got heated last time, and things went off the rails because we started calling out brands left and right. And we're trying not to do that this time because we listed some people that would be very litigious.
Yeah.
Um,
And you do have to be careful because there are these certain brands that, even though they have done things that are egregious, and who some of them have lawsuits against them, will still go after any sort of creator that mentions this controversy again. So you do have to be very careful when you're talking about these things.
all of those kind of social media red flags, and then those like kind of behavior and branding red flags for brands. Shifting the focus a little bit there on the consumer side.
Mhm.
Where do you personally draw the line? And how do you say, like, this is a brand worth supporting and this is a brand worth working with?
There, there's a few things that I look for. AI imagery is one thing that is a first red flag for me. So if I go to your website and all of your images are AI, immediately, why are you using AI? And I might have a conversation with you about that, but um another thing is not having a perfumer listed, even if you are the perfumer. There is something called, it's basically like white labeling fragrances. A perfumer still made those fragrances, right? There's still somebody to credit. So if you don't credit anybody, that gives me a little alarm bells. Um, and then also, like, where did the brand come from? You know, how is it perfumer owned? Are you using an oil house? Like, how are you all of a sudden you launched and you're immediately in Ulta and Sephora? Okay, who's your money backing? Um, I have made a great effort recently to not purchase things that are owned by the large evil overlords, as we like to call them. So L'Oreal, Estee Lauder. Um, there are, I won't lie, there are still a few that creep in every now and then. Um, and but I seriously have taken myself away from those as much as possible. The only thing is that as a content creator, those are the brands that are paying you. So let's be realistic about that too. Um, so it's a double-edged sword. Do you want to make money off of your content creation, or do you want to be ethical with your content creation? Um, so yeah, those are some of my immediate red flags. I do like to read a copy. Um I want to know a little bit more about who it is. I want to know the people behind it. If I can't find that from your website, then I get my antennas go up. What about you?
A lot of the same.
Hmm.
And there was a point that you made that really stuck with me, and that was that, getting rid of the things that are, and not buying from brands that are owned by the evil overlords. I also have done a concerted effort to get rid of anything that they've made, and I do look. I also think it's important. Like, you can be a conscious consumer without having to be perfect. Um, Anyone who watches my content knows I absolutely adore the scent Apostan. And when I was in London, I was like, oh, they're owned by The Ordinary. That's fine. And it wasn't until months later that I learned that The Ordinary was owned by Dacium, and Dacium is owned by L'Oreal or Estee Lauder, one of the two. And I was like, oh, damn, it's like 3 levels removed.
Yeah.
You're not always going to know,
Yeah.
especially if you're shopping in person, it's much harder to do that research. No
Hmm.
one is saying you have to be perfect, but being aware of these things, I think, is important. For me, very similar. If I can't figure out who you are, like if your about me doesn't say name in X location, red flag one.
Yeah.
Um, And then, yeah, what is their connection to the perfume making process? If it's like founder and creative director, cool. That means you're using other perfumers. Are they listed on the website? That's totally fine. I do like to see IFRA compliance.
Oh, yes, big one.
That helps me steer clear of things that might give me an allergic reaction or some sketchy oil house type things. Um, but that's not always available. So it's like it's not a make or break, but I do like to see it. And then this kind of goes into like all of my beauty, self care, skincare, perfume. Like if it's gay owned, woman owned, especially black woman owned, especially for hair care, I'm like, yeah, I can trust these people. Like those will draw me into a brand pretty heavily too. And then yeah, reading the copy, is the story resonating, but also looking out for pseudoscience words, clean
Oh,
beauty, hormone disrupting, all of that snake oil bullshit. That kills it for me.
I got catfished by a brand with that. Yeah. The ads got me. I was like, "Ooh, I need to smell this." And the bottles, I wasn't crazy about the bottles because they look like another brand. I won't say who it is. But then I got the packaging and it was like non-toxic, non-hormone disrupting. And I'm like, "Oh, oh no." I won't
Any
be
of those
purchasing this
things will kill
again.
it for me. Anything marketed as a pheromone perfume kills it for me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, I actually did for science buy the pig pheromone perfume. It's here under my desk because I was like, what are we doing over here? But
We
that
have
was
to
for
talk more
science
about
and
that
not
at
for
one point.
joy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was for science and not for joy.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I look for those things. And then kind of like the final thing was, does it look legit? Not every indie or niche perfume person knows how to build a website.
Yeah.
Um, but like, is there a creation date?
Hmm.
Things like that. And there has been a brand who reached out to me, offered to send me samples of their work and to know what I thought. They weren't
Yeah.
asking me to make videos or anything. They wanted some
Mhm.
feedback from me. And I'm usually happy to do that, especially for the indies, just for the joy of the game. I want to smell it and I'll tell you how I feel about it. Um, and some of the feedback I gave that brand was around their website. I was like, hey, you have so little information, it's sketchy.
Yeah.
And we ended like a dialogue. They were like, well, this is how I want to express myself, and I want people just to have the scent as the scent. And I was like, awesome. Here are some ideas on how to frame that intentionally so
Hmm.
people don't get spooked off your website. And like,
Yeah.
there were a few specific things I said where he was like, I really like that. Can I put it on the website? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like you don't have to have a super flashy, fancy website, but like
Hmm.
it should clearly show your vision in some way.
Yeah.
I think a great example of that would be Mythologia. I'm a forever stan. Her website
Absolutely.
is so cool.
Yeah.
And it's just her.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, Idol does a really great job of that too.
Idol's
Idol,
amazing.
I love them so much. If you've never experienced the brand, they don't give you the notes. They barely give you a copy, but it's very intentional because they're kind of like the anti fragrance establishment fragrances and they're really freaking good. But they're meant for you to explore and put on your skin and have your own experience on what you think they are. And I love that. I love not being led into something because do I love it because of the branding or do I love it because it's good? You know? Uh it's a great experience to have.
Yeah, Idol is pretty amazing. They also are really good about reaching out to smaller creators.
Mhm.
And they've always been very like they are one of the few brands that have reached out to me. And they were like, we just want to see if you like this. Let us know what you think. And then when I made a
Yeah.
video, they messaged again and they were like, that is so cool that you like this so much. We would love to send you a full bottle.
I love them. They're great. Their newest one, Cut Continuum. Okay, we're off on a tangent here. I mean, this is a fragrance podcast after all. But their newest one, Cut Continuum, is so cool. To me, it smells like somebody is doing an autopsy on flowers. It feels like sterile and cold, but beautifully floral at the same time. And I am absolutely obsessed with it.
Well, that's like tracelessness for me is the only solar fragrance I will ever need because it is sunlight. It is the smell of that like tingling sensation when you
Mhm.
step out in the sunlight for the first time and you just feel that warmth absorbing. It's that smell. And I mean, yeah, is it an episode of the Fragrance Files if we don't gush about one particular brand? Yeah, Idol is doing some really cool stuff.
They
I
are.
really enjoy them. And they're so mysterious. They're one of the few that like I don't know who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. But they were
In
serious in a
general,
good way.
yeah, and this is a little bit of a privileged position from where we're at as creators and as interviewing people. If I can't message the brand on Instagram and get a reply, I don't know that I want to buy from
Yeah. Yeah. I
them. That's
agree.
it's a weird. It feels really uppity to say that, but like, I want to know you. I want to talk to you.
I get it if not everybody cares about that, but I certainly do. I look, I had such a beautiful moment with the brand Bona Maria. I messaged them. I told the story about how much I love the fragrance, how much it reminded me of my grandfather, and it was such a like an authentic, real moment. And I'm like, this is why I love doing what I'm doing. Like I love connecting with people who think this way too. So it's be open to your community. We're here to help you. We're here to help you too.
So one of the issues we've discussed in previous episodes, and we hinted on here, and I, you know, it's going to be a thread throughout so many of these conversations, is the proliferation of AI. And we previously hated on it, especially in creative spaces, particularly when it comes to the content and marketing generation engine.
Mhm.
I think AI feels very exploitative.
Yeah.
There was the brand that had a pretty large creator program where they were
Mm.
sending perfume to creators, telling them to create a separate page specifically to review these perfumes.
Yes,
And it
this
was
was awful.
pretty large scale.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere dropped all of that and just
Mhm.
started using these nightmarish AI generated images. And when they got
Mhm.
called out on it by me, hated them. I'm forever a hater on Instagram if you didn't notice. I was commenting every single post. This is gross. This looks
Yeah.
hellish. This is nightmarish. Why aren't you paying real creators? And they were like, we don't have the budget. What happened
Well,
to your money,
when
girl?
and previously, I mean, this is a brand that is also was pretty widely available. I feel like nobody talks about them anymore now that they don't have a creator program, which I mean really goes to say about, the quality of the overall fragrances. But I found their creator program quite egregious as well. I know a couple of our
Mm-hmm.
friends did it, and they, like you mentioned, they made you create a whole separate account. So you couldn't post on your account that you had built an audience with. You have to create a separate account and you have to post every single day for 30 days. And it was, they did pay for it. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was definitely, that's 30 videos. And at the end of those 30 days, some people did it longer. They owned all of those videos. So now they own those forever, can make any sort of content with it. And they were paying, I don't remember if it was 5 or 700 for the month, but again, to own your image forever for their products. Which also, why are you using AI if you have a bank of so many creators who have created videos for you? What is that turn about? They are they feel very much irrelevant in the space now because of that, I believe.
Yeah, I'm going to pivot and then steer back into, I'm going to circle back to AI. Those who get it, get it.
Yeah.
Um, that perfume brand was one of those brands that I was like, they're nice, accessible, relatively affordable fragrances, a great entry to India niche. And I've, after seeing kind of that behavior and them getting on my shit list, I've kind of pivoted, and this is a plug for essential parfum. If you are
Mm,
new to the space or if you're trying to gift something to someone, essential perfume uses great perfumers to make really good fragrances. And the reason that they're so reasonably priced, in my opinion, is they strip back the marketing, the the decoration, the packaging, just to give you a good fragrance. Like one of
yeah.
them is called Nice Bergamot, and I'm like, yeah, it is a nice bergamot. What else do you want from this? That's my alternative. If you're like, yeah, I know someone who's just getting into this fragrance space, and I don't know how to, not throw them into the deep end. Essential Parfums,
Yeah.
shout out.
Yeah, essential perfumes. There's quite a few brands that are under the $100 mark. In the indie space as well too. I think, you don't necessarily have to go for um just the dupe brands if you're looking for something that's affordable. I mean, sitting on my tray right now, there's KST. These are I think are at like 85. So cool. What else is on my tray right now? These I love this brand. We've talked about them before. This is Deshu. Small, one woman operation out of Soho. So your bottles do take a long time, but these are 95 and they're all like capsule collections. They're like one out of 200. The eyes are always there are at like I think 85. The rope
Mocha,
from the eyes are always there. Oh yes, Mocha. The rope from eyes are always there. Phenomenal. One of my favorite scents right now. Also Mocha fragrances. Again, these are at like 80, $85. I mean, this is a good amount. I think this is a 50 ml. These are phenomenally gorgeous. So there's definitely great options in the
Centrunk.
indie space. Centrunk. Yes, Centrunk. So good. I mean, we could keep going.
Yeah,
Voyager is just at the $100 mark. I mean, there's so much in my cabinet right now that.
yeah. Don't do dupes and don't do AI. That was the message of this segment.
Yeah.
We have so many good options, and like, why why accept a diluted form of someone's artwork in a dupe, and why accept the bastardized art form of someone else's artwork in AI? Like that's the connecting thread here between the perfume and the AI itself. Like you're erasing artists and writers and designers and creators. And for what? If no one's getting paid, what was the point of doing any of this?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think people realize with AI too is that it's not pulling this image out of nowhere, right? It's scanning the internet for thousands of pieces of artwork to match your vibe and taking from other artists to create your image. So it is not completely unique and completely new. Real artists had to be behind those before AI was able to do what it's able to do. So it's taking that source material from somewhere. So it is still a stolen image, even if it's created with AI.
Don't dupe, don't AI.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Um, so shifting back towards the consumer's role, what do you think accountability looks like in the perfume space for these kind of bad behaviors?
Um, I think there are cases where it's okay to call out bad behavior. I'm really not a creator that makes a lot of negative videos. We've we've done one together. When something is really egregious, I will call it out. Um, but I think as a content creator, if there's something that a brand is doing and you don't agree with it and you don't think it is ethical, you do not have to platform them. You don't have to give them that space. You don't have to give them your emotional labor, anything. And you can uplift the brands that are doing the right thing and you can give them the stage, the people who actually deserve getting that space.
Right. And then I know one of the questions we initially wrote down to prompt was who needs protection more, brands or creators? And after this discussion, I feel like the answer is both.
Yeah.
There are content creators that need protection from predatory brands,
Hmm.
and there are also content creators that need a reality check on what certain brands are capable of doing.
Absolutely. I agree 100% on that one. That is to go back and say is that nobody owes you PR. Nobody owes you anything gifted, especially if you're working and talking about small brands. You have to understand that it may not be in their budget to be able to send you free bottles. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that they value you any less. It just might mean that they're getting by on the skin of their teeth and they didn't budget for free bottles right now. Doesn't mean they won't do it in the future, but um
And if you are a content creator that really wants to explore a brand that maybe isn't as successful to you,
mhm.
but you're not sure about asking for PR, try asking for samples. Um, I felt way out of my depth approaching a fairly large brand, a brand that has recently been bought by private equity a couple years ago. And I was like, hey, I feel like our aesthetics match. I haven't been able to smell any of your stuff because it's not in any boutiques near me. Would it be possible to get some samples to try out? Um, and they replied and actually said, yeah, sure. We're about to launch a new sample collection that looks like it would be a good fit. What's your address?
Yeah.
And like, that's all I could ask for.
Yeah. I personally, when a brand offers to send me a gifted or PR product, if it's a brand that I've never experienced before, I always ask them for samples first. I don't want to waste your product. I don't want to
Yeah,
waste both of our time if this is a fragrance that I don't enjoy because I will not either I won't review it or I won't be dishonest in my review of your fragrance. So I make it a practice of putting it out there like, hey, if I don't like this product, how would you like me to proceed? Put that out there in advance. And again, if you've never smelled it before, ask for samples first. Like, I want to know what you may try to guess and send me a bottle, and it might be your best seller, and it may not do it for me. There might be something else in your collection that I really connect with. So let me try the samples first and then see where we go from there. It's a great way of keeping yourself honest and making sure that you're not wasting maybe a smaller brand's product or time.
for sure. And then some behaviors that I think about that kind of disqualify brands for me when I observe them on social media, even. We discussed it, but a little more concisely. Like a brand that suddenly shows up everywhere, I can tell is a marketing run and
Hmm.
not organic, like engagement. A brand that every video I do see has the same copy and the same words
Yes.
tells me that you have told this creator what you want them to say. And I'm not getting a true vision of what this is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this one I go back and forth on. I think it's more of a me thing.
Mhm.
If your perfume's in the TikTok shop and there's a link, I don't. It gives me the ick. It feels like Timu perfume.
Yeah. I There are some brands that I know and I love that are on the TikTok shop. So it's hard for me for that to be like a hard and fast rule. Also because I don't think that TikTok shop pays and operates very well for fragrance brands. So it might seem like it's a great way to get lots of sales, but it might also be opening the door for a lot of other issues. I know, and if I can remember, if I can find the video again, there is a black woman on the app who has a TikTok shop and who has not been paid for her sales, period. And she's
Hmm.
made video after video after video of not getting payments from TikTok shop to the point where this woman can't, her rent is due. And all this money that she's supposedly made on the TikTok shop has not come through for her yet. And I don't know if it was because of the switchover in ownership or what it is, but just, I mean, if you're a small brand looking to get on TikTok shop, just be careful. I know there's another brand too recently who's had great success on it, but then started getting returns because TikTok shop offers free returns and having bottles returned to him completely empty. where they've drained the bottle, sent it back, and gotten a full refund. So I think there are genuine good brands on there, but approach with caution.
So this was a heavy, kind of big episode. And like we said, it's kicking off what I think is going to be a really exciting series where we get nitty gritty and we get into
Yeah.
some of these big, meaty issues with some really cool people. I'm excited
Yeah.
for all the interviews we have coming up. Before we get there,
Yes.
what responsibility do you feel comes with loving perfume?
I think for me, I feel a responsibility to share and to educate because that's what's in my wheelhouse. So I clearly love talking about fragrance, but I also love helping people learn about what they're smelling and about, maybe where the ingredients came from, who the perfumer is, what their background is, what this represents. So for me, I can't separate my love of fragrance with my nature of being an educator and sharing.
I love that. I think loving perfume as an art form and as a community means not protecting the industry from critique. And, you know, we actually were just on the scent soiree, and there was a whole conversation around how gourmand as a fragrance family is quite culturally insensitive because there's
Hmm.
so many places in the world where sweet does not mean dessert.
Hmm.
And you actually came up with the idea of calling fragrances esculent for
Yeah.
edible, and I love that. That's been my word of the week. Uh, but like, it's not that I'm sitting on my couch every day Googling what's wrong in the perfume world and how do we fix it. It's
Yeah.
having these conversations and being open. And I was like, you know what? I never even considered that gourmand is a very narrow prescription
Yeah.
for food like perfumes. But hearing someone who is passionate about that topic bring it up, I was like, yes, give me more. Tell me
Oh God.
more.
Yeah. That whole day, listening to everyone speak, I think we were texting each other because there was just so much excitement hearing other people's perspectives and things that we've never even thought of. And when Daisy first told me that that was going to be the subject that she was discussing, I thought about that for weeks. I'm like, what's a different word? I was researching, I was Googling, I was like, it took me forever. I put it in the group chat. I'm like, what's a better word for gourmand? Like, let's deconstruct this together. And I love that. Like that's again, that goes to the educator in me where I love deconstructing and figure things out like that.
Yeah, I mean, I love the description of esculent as food like perfumes, but I also now have intrinsically tied that word to you because I had never. It's rare that I haven't heard of a word, and that was a new one for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Would you describe
but
me as
yeah,
esculent? No.
am I esculent enough for you today? Um, the I just yeah, wrapping that up. Like shout out to Yosh for this the digital scent festival, the scent soiree. That was amazing, and it shows that there are so many people in the perfume world with so many perspectives and with so many cultures that they and lenses that they are bringing into the macro perfume culture that like just listen, be as open to these people and points of view and brands as you are to notes and scents.
I think that's a great way to leave it.
Great. We'll
Well
see you
done.
next time.